Well, the mainstream media are working overtime after, of course, the Patriots gathered together. They can see that they're losing ground in this battle. A number of Good Morning Britain viewers are blasting the ITV breakfast show after its latest coverage of the Union Jack and St. George's flag. The controversy erupted when the programme ran a series of interviews and surveys linking the current wave of flag-raising demonstrations to alleged racist incidents. Now here's what happened. According to the show, ITV partnered with pollsters at Opinium to conduct a survey focused on so-called racial abuse since August. Now the timing of the survey was not random. It was deliberately tied to Operation Raise the Colours, the grassroots campaign where patriotic demonstrators have been putting up Union Jacks and England flags in towns and cities across the country. Now the results ITV chose to highlight were stark. The survey claimed that 34% of people from black and ethnic minority groups had experienced racist abuse in that short time. But it didn't stop there. Out of the 34%, half of them said apparently that they believed the rise of the patriotic flags display was behind the abuse. So let's pause there. Viewers tuning into Good Morning Britain were essentially being told that ordinary people raising the Union Jack or flying an England flag could be directly connected to a rise in racism. That's a heavy and loaded narrative, and it's not gone down well at all. Let's have a little watch of this video footage, but Good Morning Britain, it seems, is literally trying to push a narrative. We've seen their reaction, of course, yesterday with regard to the Tommy Robinson United Kingdom rally, and again, it was sheer bias and just gaslighting 101 and pure BS. Let's have a watch of this disgrace.
It's lunchtime at this busy Lebanese grill. Kebabs and falafel are on the menu. Sharing food brings the community together in this diverse corner of South London.
We may look different, we may eat differently, we may speak differently, but there's also so much that we have in common. And this is what the Union flag is all about, uniting everyone together.
But recently they've been dividing opinion across the borough. Outside, Union Jacks and St George's flags have been displayed on lampposts, painted on roundabouts and street signs, graffitied on the side of a local mosque.
It then starts to make you think, is my daughter at risk? I'll take her to her Arabic class, and I'm thinking, what's the security like there?
Widespread displays of flags are flying as part of a movement that started this summer. For some, it's a source of pride. For others, a form of prejudice. Our survey spoke to people from black and minority ethnic backgrounds. It found that more than a third have experienced racist abuse since the beginning of August. 50% believe it was connected to the flag movement, and a quarter of those we spoke to say they feel less safe than last year.
We have seen a normalisation of racism, very open, confident conversations where people are saying openly that they don't like Muslims.
Telling us, after we lived here for 50 years, that we don't belong here. It's implicit that the Prime Minister comes out and calls racism rather than they pretending that this is just freedom of speech.
In a statement, the Prime Minister said, "We will never surrender our flag to those that use it as a symbol of violence, fear and division." Those here hope the sharing of views and experiences will give others food for thought. Polly Bartlett, Good Morning Britain.
Now, of course, no one is denying that racism exists or that racist incidents should not be taken seriously. But to suggest that a movement built on celebrating national pride or reclaiming our flag from those who've tried to demonize it is automatically linked to abuse. That's where I believe Good Morning Britain have crossed the line massively. And remember, the remit of Operation Raise the Colours has been about one clear message: ordinary Britons proudly flying their nation's flag in their own communities. Nothing more, nothing less. Yet here we are with a mainstream broadcaster pushing the idea that this is somehow tied to hostility and intimidation. Now my questions I want to ask Good Morning Britain is, where exactly is the evidence beyond self-reported claims in a single survey? Where is this evidence? Where does it lie? Where is it? Give it to us. Why was the focus not on celebrating the overwhelming number of peaceful, positive demonstrations of pride? What about the 1 million people that turned up to this United Kingdom rally, which was mostly peaceful, or majority of it was massively peaceful? And why, time and again, do these broadcasters seem more comfortable framing British patriotism as a problem rather than something to be respected? This is why so many people are angry. They feel the Union Jack is being dragged into yet another culture war by those who simply don't want to see it. Instead of representing unity, history and identity, it's being painted as a trigger for division by the far left and the mainstream media. And let's be honest, this isn't new. We've seen it time and time again in the media, just in the fallout of the weekend. But of course, since the Operation Raise the Colours movement started, and in fact, the mainstream media try and push the narrative that if an individual flies a flag, then that is racially motivated and that they hate or is some link to be white supremacy or some bullshit like this. Is really, really frustrating. And again, people are right to be outraged with Good Morning Britain this week, and a lot of people are saying enough is enough, because at the heart of the debate, it's really simple principle. Patriotism is not hate. Flying the flag of your own country is not racism, and to suggest otherwise is insulting, but dangerous also, and it fuels resentment, deepens divide, and tells millions of ordinary Britons that their pride in their own country is something shameful. So this story develops. One thing is clear. ITV Good Morning Britain might have thought they were highlighting an important issue, but instead they've opened up a bigger conversation about media bias, about the way patriotism is portrayed, and whether broadcasters are truly in touch with the people that they claim to represent. Because I certainly don't see it at all, especially from ITV's Good Morning Britain. Their broadcasting has been nothing short of a disgrace over the last week or so. In fact, it probably goes back even more. But yeah, guys, do let me know your thoughts on that down there in the comment section below.
In other news, a petition demanding the state pension be made available from age 60, while increasing payments to £586.08 a week, has attracted over 14,900 signatures to date. The total surpasses the 10,000 threshold that requires a government response. The campaign proposes linking pension payments to 48 hours at national living wage rates, which would give recipients around £30,476.16 annually. Having passed the first milestone, the petition now awaits an official response from the government in the coming days. If support reaches 100,000 signatures before the December 24, 2025 deadline, Parliament will consider the proposal for debate. The petition advocates for universal pension access, including for British expatriates. This represents a major departure from current policy, which sets the state pension age at 67 for most recipients. Denver Johnson, who created the petition, said, "Government policy seems intent on the state pension being a benefit not paid to all, while ever increasing the age of entitlement. Their proposal calls for reform to ensure pensions are available to everyone from age 60, including those living abroad. Payments would be tied to the national living wage for security," the petition creator said. The concerned pensioner argues that the government has moved away from treating the state pension as a universal entitlement. They call raising the qualifying age while tightening access restricts support for future retirees. According to the petition text, from April 2025, a universal state pension should become a fundamental right for all British citizens aged 60 and above. It proposes calculating payments based on a full working week at minimum wage levels, specifically 48 hours at the national living wage. That calculation would generate £586.08 weekly from April 2025, when the next wage adjustment takes effect. The annual sum of £30,476.16 would mark a substantial rise compared with current state pension payments. By linking pension amounts directly to the living wage, the proposal would ensure payments rise automatically in line with inflation and earnings. Supporters say the mechanism would protect pensioners' purchasing power without requiring separate reviews or discretionary increases. The petition's framework would apply these enhanced rates universally to all qualifying individuals aged 60 and over. Analysts note this would mean a significant expansion of both eligibility and payment levels compared with existing arrangements. Financial specialists caution, however, that retiring before the current state pension age is already challenging for many households. Scott Gallacher, director at Leicester-based Rewley Turton, said, "Early retirement isn't dead, but for the squeezed middle it's now more fantasy than plan." He cited persistent tax rises through fiscal drag, rising property costs, and the end of ultra-low mortgage rates as obstacles. Mr. Gallacher also noted that longer life expectancy means inheritances are received later, while adult children require more financial support with student loans and housing costs. He suggested early retirement is still possible, with disciplined saving in pensions and ISAs. Otherwise, he warned, the only way to retire early now is for both partners to work full-time, perhaps until their late 60s. Graham Wells, founder at Growwiser Financial Coaching, said retirement itself is changing, with many clients questioning the traditional model. He pointed to growing interest in financial independence and lifestyle businesses among people in their 40s and 50s. Daniel Wiltshire of Wiltshire Wealth in Bradford-on-Avon highlighted a divide between generations. He said those over 50 often benefit from reduced mortgages, final salary pensions, and state pension access at 67. By contrast, younger cohorts face record tax levels, expensive childcare, and unaffordable housing. Mr. Wiltshire said, "For under 50s, the early retirement dream seems more distant than ever," adding that concerns about future cuts to state support add to uncertainty.